Hello, and welcome to the English Listening Practice Podcast from English Pod Studio. My name is Emma, and I'm so happy you are here today. This podcast is made for English learners who want to practice listening and speaking in a simple way. I will speak slowly and clearly so you can understand, and you can also repeat after me to practice. Today's topic is reading short stories in English. Reading is one of the best ways to improve your English. But reading a long book can feel very difficult, especially at the beginning. That's why short stories are perfect. They are simple, they are short, and they can help you learn step by step. Why are short stories useful? Let's think. First, short stories are not too long. You can finish one story in a short time. This makes you feel successful and it gives you confidence. Second, short stories use everyday words. They often talk about daily life, family, work, or simple adventures. This vocabulary is very useful in real conversations. Third, short stories are interesting. They tell you about people, feelings, and events. When you enjoy the story, you want to keep reading, and that helps you learn more. Let me give you an example. Imagine a short story about a boy who lost his dog. The words are simple. The boy is sad. He looks for his dog. He asks his friends, "Have you seen my dog?" Finally, he finds the dog in the park. He is happy. This story is easy to read, but it teaches useful words. Sad, look for, ask, find, park, happy. You can use these words in real life. How can you read short stories to learn English better? Here are some steps. 1. Choose the right story. Do not pick a story that is too hard. Start with very simple stories. You can find graded readers, which are books made for learners at different levels. Choose a book that says A1 or A2. 2. Read slowly. Do not try to finish quickly. Take your time. Look at each sentence. If you don't understand every word, that's okay. Focus on the main idea. 3. Read many times. When you read the same story again, you understand more and more. The first time, you just enjoy. The second time, you notice more details. The third time, you remember words. 4. Say the words aloud. Reading is not only for your eyes, it is also for your mouth. When you read aloud, you practice speaking and pronunciation. For example, you can read, "The boy finds his dog in the park." Say it slowly, then repeat. 5. Think about the story. After reading, ask yourself, who are the people? What happened? How did they feel? This helps you connect to the story and remember the words better. Short stories are also a way to learn culture. For example, if you read an English story about Christmas, you learn not only English words, but also something about traditions. If you read a story about school in the UK, you learn how school life is there. Until now, we talked about why short stories are useful. They are short, simple, interesting, and full of daily vocabulary. We also learned how to start. Choose the right story, read slowly, read many times, say the words aloud, and think about the story. Now, let's go deeper. Let's see how reading short stories can help you in 5 different areas: vocabulary, grammar, listening, speaking, and writing. Number 1, learning vocabulary. Short stories are full of words that you can use in real life. The best way to learn vocabulary from a story is not just to see the word once, but to see it many times in different places. For example, if the story says, "The boy looks for his dog," he looks in the park. He looks under the bed. The word look comes again and again. This helps you remember it. You learn that look for means to search. You also learn how to use it in different sentences. A good trick is to write down the new words from the story in a notebook. But don't just write the word. Write a sentence from the story. For example, he looks for his dog in the park. When you read the sentence again later, you remember the word better because it is in context. You can also make your own sentence with the new word. For example, I look for my keys every morning. This way, you connect the story to your own life. Number 2, understanding grammar. Short stories also show you grammar in action. Sometimes grammar books feel boring. They give you rules and tables. But in a story, grammar feels natural. You see how people really use it. For example, a story might say, "The boy lost his dog yesterday." This shows the past tense. Another story might say, "She is looking for her friend now." This shows the present continuous tense. By reading many short stories, you see the same grammar again and again in real sentences. This makes grammar easier to understand and easier to use. Number 3, listening practice with short stories. Did you know you can also use short stories for listening practice? Many short stories are available as audiobooks, or you can find recordings online. You can read the story while listening to the audio. This helps your brain connect the written word with the spoken sound. For example, when you hear the word park and at the same time you see park in the text, you remember the pronunciation and the spelling together. Here's a good method. First, listen without reading. Try to understand the main idea. Second, listen and read together. Follow the words with your eyes. Third, read aloud without the audio. This gives you speaking practice. Number 4, speaking practice with short stories. Reading can also help your speaking. How? By repeating sentences from the story. For example, if the story says, "The boy is sad," you can repeat, "The boy is sad." Then change it, "I am sad," or "She is sad." This is how you practice making your own sentences. You can also retell the story in your own words. After finishing, close the book and try to say the story out loud. It doesn't need to be perfect. Even if you only say, "The boy lost his dog. He looked in the park. He found the dog. He was happy." That is already great practice. When you retell, you practice using new words, new grammar, and you train your brain to think in English. Number 5, writing practice with short stories. Short stories are also a good model for writing. After reading, you can write your own short story. It does not need to be long. For example, you can write a short story about your day. "I woke up late. I ran to the bus. I was tired. But I met my friend. I was happy." This is just like the stories you read, but now it is your own life. Writing your own short stories helps you practice vocabulary, grammar, and creativity. Motivation from stories. Another important point is that short stories give you motivation. Sometimes learning English feels like hard work, but when you read a story and enjoy it, it feels less like study and more like fun. You want to know what happens next, so you keep reading. While enjoying, you are also learning. Think of it like this. Reading a story is like playing a game. You don't even notice how much you are learning because you are focused on the characters and events. That is the power of short stories. Until now, we learned how short stories can help us learn vocabulary and context, understand grammar naturally, practice listening with audiobooks, practice speaking by repeating and retelling, practice writing by making our own stories. Now we will talk about how to make short stories part of your daily life, how to stay motivated, and how to grow with short stories as your English improves. 1. Making short stories a daily habit. The secret to learning English is not studying for many hours one time. The secret is practicing a little bit every day. Short stories are perfect for this. Why? Because they are small. You don't need 2 hours to read one. Sometimes 5 or 10 minutes is enough. For example, you can read a short story while drinking your morning tea, while waiting for the bus, or before going to sleep. A simple daily habit could look like this. Morning, read 1 page of a short story. Afternoon, listen to the audio of the same story. Evening, retell the story to yourself or to a friend. This way, you touch English 3 times in one day, but in a natural, easy way. 2. How to stay motivated. Sometimes you start strong, but then you feel tired or you think it is boring. That is normal. To stay motivated, choose stories that you really enjoy. If you like love stories, read love stories. If you like mysteries, read mysteries. If you like funny stories, read funny ones. When you enjoy the story, you don't feel like you are studying. You feel like you're just reading for fun. That is the best way to keep going. Another way to stay motivated is to set small goals. For example, I will read 1 story every week. I will learn 5 new words from each story. I will retell the story to my friend every Friday. When you reach your goal, you feel proud. That feeling gives you energy to continue. 3. Growing with short stories. At the beginning, choose very simple stories. Even if the story is only 200 words, that is enough. As your English improves, you can choose longer and more difficult stories. Think of it like climbing steps. At first, you are on step 1, easy stories. Then you move to step 2, a little longer stories. Then step 3, stories with more difficult vocabulary. Slowly, you climb higher. One day, you will be able to read not only short stories, but also novels, newspapers, and books in English. Remember, every big journey starts with small steps. Short stories are those small steps that will take you far. 4. Sharing stories with others. Another fun way to use short stories is to share them. If you have a study partner, you can read the same story and then talk about it together. Ask each other, who was your favorite character? What did you like in the story? How would you change the ending? This makes learning more interactive and social. When you talk about a story with someone else, you use English in a real conversation. 5. Enjoy the process. Finally, the most important advice is enjoy the process. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. Don't worry if you make mistakes when you retell the story. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. Every story you read gives you something new. Maybe you learn a new word. Maybe you understand a new grammar pattern. Maybe you just feel happy that you finished a story in English. All of these are victories. So let's remember what we learned. Short stories are short, simple, interesting, and full of useful vocabulary. They help with vocabulary, grammar, listening, speaking, and writing. You can make them part of your daily habit with just a few minutes a day. You can stay motivated by choosing fun stories and setting small goals. Short stories can grow with you as your English improves. Reading short stories in English is not just learning, it is also a journey of discovery. Each story gives you new words, new ideas, and new confidence. Step by step, page by page, you are becoming a stronger English learner. Thank you for joining me today at English Pod Studio. I hope this episode has inspired you to start reading short stories in English every day. Remember, every small story is a big step in your learning journey. Keep reading, keep learning, and keep enjoying English. Until next time, goodbye and happy reading.